Hello, everybody. So today, what is it? December 29th, 2021. This is the last live stream of the year for me. We've all made it. So before I begin, I wanted to give you guys a chance to kind of close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and understand how far you've come throughout this whole year. We're in a crazy pandemic. Just found out my brother just gotten COVID, may have given it to me. We'll find out pretty soon. But we're still here, we're still kicking, and we're still investing, we're still making money. Well, those of us that are actually taking action. So take a time, take a minute, practice a little gratitude on the things that you do have. Like things may not be going exactly how you would like in your life, but take some gratitude knowing that you can actually make those changes. Those changes may not be easy. They may not be quick. They may be extremely hard to come by and understand what needs to be done, but there is possibilities. And if life is going great, then let's be grateful for that. All right. But in general, today I'm going to talk about, my notes, how the industry, the wholesaling, the land investing, the just real estate investing industry is changing. And for a lot of us, or a lot of you guys won't be in this industry much longer. Now, it depends on your level of activity. It depends on, your seriousness. But I'm going to go into a couple of reasons why I feel things are changing. Well, they are changing, but how I see it affecting us land investors and ways that we can prevent that change from actually hurting us, but in fact, benefiting us. All right. So with that said, I'm also going to talk a little bit about my goals for 2022, which does correspond to some of the changes I am seeing, some of the things I am personally experiencing in my land investing business, some of the goals I missed for this year and why that happened and how it all ties together. So before I get any deeper, just let me make sure you guys can hear me okay. You can see me okay. I just want to make sure everything is cool. And if we are ready, let's kick this off. All right. Also, if you got questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to check the chat and everything, but you know how it is. It's always a delay. So future trends. Here's something I started to realize. All right. I'm starting to see something very, very interesting from Philly to Atlanta to Oklahoma, New Jersey. There's a lot of places that are now creating new legislation against certain types of real estate investors. How did that affect us? Well, I'm glad you asked. Before I get into that, let me give you guys 5 different types of investors. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, but this is especially true in land investing, but I think it applies to everything. All right. On the lowest level, you have the dabblers. And you guys already know how I feel about dabblers. I'm allergic. I don't get along with dabblers, right? They kind of do things. They kind of don't. They try. They don't really try. I can't, right? Obviously, they don't succeed because they don't really put the effort to succeed. So there's not really much to say about them. If you're a dabbler, it doesn't matter what happens in the industry because they ain't like you're doing shit anyway. So whatever. Now, next up, you have the rookies. Now, we've all started as a rookie, right? Now, usually you're just getting started, right? So you don't have a lot of information from experience. Maybe you've listened to a lot of podcasts, or you have like a course that you purchased or something like that, but it's all just text and audio information and video information and not much else. And you haven't really had many deals, or if any, under your belt. And usually it's a lone wolf mentality. Like you're trying to learn these skills, you're trying to do these things, and you're trying to do it usually on your own. Or if you have a buddy in crime, but you guys both don't know what the fuck you're doing. So you guys are both like, you're trying to help each other out. And I think it's actually a good thing. Now, a lot of times with rookies, they're taking action without really knowing what's happening. And because of that, I love them for that. That's what you got to do in this industry or in industry. You got to just, I wouldn't say be careless, but you got to be ready to take action with imperfect information, because you're not going to get that perfect information ever. But the only way to get even better or closer to perfect information is to go out there and actually try it. No matter how many podcasts you listen to, no matter YouTube videos you watch, no matter how many courses you buy and kind of halfway go through them, you won't get anywhere unless you can actually apply and learn from actual market experience. And so I love you guys for that. But obviously there's some issues when you're doing things without that experience. Not big issues, but certain things we'll get into, right? Now, here's a trap a lot of rookies fall into. They try to do everything like a cheap ass, right? They're stepping over dollars so they can pick up pennies. right? They're trying to do everything for cheap, not in a way that's going to help build skills, but just because they don't want to spend money or they're afraid to step out of their comfort zone. And because of that, they don't make any money, they don't progress, and they don't work on the skills that's going to help them to actually be better at this. And the guys who aren't looking to work on their skills, to improve their skill set, to do more, well, they actually cause some problems for the rest of us. I'll get into that in a moment. Now, the last thing with rookies, no real intention. They're doing it because they're doing it. They need some money. They heard this is cool, whatever it is, but it's not the intention of actually doing the actual business. It's more for the end result. And therefore, their methods, they're not firm with how they approach the business, because the intention is just not there. The mindfulness is not there. The purpose of why they're doing something is not there. So if I told you, hey, if you blog a lot, it will help you make sales, and you just start blogging about anything and not really understanding that the goal of this is not to blog, but to make sales, you're just going to be doing stuff that's going to spin your wheels. It's going to frustrate you. It's a common rookie thing, and we all go through it. I'm not trying to judge, because I've been there, still there in certain areas, so it's all good. Now, after rookie, you have the intermediate, right? These people, they actually start getting actual coaching. They actually decide, like, hey, I actually want to get good at this. I need a shortcut. I'm tired of learning by trial and error. So they get some coaching, they may join some mastermind groups so they can rub elbows with other people who are doing what they want to do, but at a higher level. They start to stretch their comfort zone a bit, which usually means in land investing, they're doing bigger deals. They're branching out of the areas that they've been told to look into, and they're actually looking to improve their performance. All right. And they're starting to achieve at a higher level. Now they're starting to make some real money. Maybe not enough to live off of, but they're making enough money where they're like, yeah, this is legit. I do want to do this some more, and I can see this being my main source of income. Then you got the pros. I consider myself a pro. I've been getting coaching. I've been joining masterminds. So it's everything that the intermediates do. But I'm making a lot more money. I'm making six figures doing this. I'm scaling operations. I'm doing things. I'm making things more efficient, right? So it's my main source of income. So yeah, I'm actual professional. Like, I get paid to do this, so to speak. And then you have the kings out there, right? This is what myself, I'm not a king. I'm not making seven figures on the thing. I still do a lot of the daily tasks. A king doesn't necessarily do that. He treats it like a real business. So he doesn't need to actually do anything else. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So far, any questions? Okay, good. So listen, as I said, I love rookies. They're great. Been a rookie for a long time, not hating. But those who aren't trying to level up, who aren't trying to go from rookie to intermediate, they're making some key mistakes. And when they don't want to learn these new skills, when they're trying to make deals, certain things happen. Now, I'm going to take you on a little bit of a sidebar, and I promise you this will all make sense. I don't know how many of you guys are actually wholesalers in this group. I do know a good amount of you are wholesalers, and they're looking, they see how saturated the market is, and it's not wrong. Now, what you don't know is that there's a lot of legislation actually happening against wholesalers. Why? Well, many who don't actually work on those skills, like, the rookies I spoke of, not the ones that are trying to level up, but the ones that are just out there just doing stuff, they put a bad taste in sellers' mouths, right? That bad taste will cause people to complain. It makes people feel victimized. It makes people to feel like they've been taken advantage of. So when some of these people misrepresent the value of the property that these people owned, and others hear about it, well, legislation is going to happen. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but everybody named Mama's talking about wholesaling now. Why? Because it seems like a way that you can make money without having any money at all. Sure, it's possible when you have the skills to do so, but many of us, don't. And then again, until you actually start doing it, like I said before, you're not going to just get those skills. Fine, it's part of the process. You got to learn somehow. However, people who are out there doing this carelessly and recklessly, and those who are acting in bad faith, now the heat is coming on wholesalers. And not to mention, since everybody in Mama's talking about it, it's no longer like this little niche underground thing where people can go, because let's be honest, the wholesale market is not regulated. Think about how it is to be a real estate agent. You got to be tested. You have to have a moral code of ethics. You got to have a license to do all these things. Wholesalers, you don't got to do that. So now in places like Oklahoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, a few other places that I can't think of at the top of my head, they're actually bringing in legislation to stop wholesaling, meaning you're not going to be able to assign a contract to other people anymore. Meaning that if you misrepresent things, like to the owner of the property that you're looking to purchase or lease wholesale, you can get in trouble. Meaning they are looking to make it where only real estate agents can do it, or you have to have a special wholesaling license. Also, what's happening is a lot of these places are making it so that you have to inform the people, hey, this is how you can look up the appraisal value of your property before you do business. And all these other, like, here are your other options, right? And because of that, wholesaling is taking on a bad name. It's getting a bad rep in there. And that's the issue. Now, well, I'm not a wholesaler per se. I'm a land investor. However, a lot of these things do apply to me and to you as the land investor. So here's the thing. We have to start to elevate our games in a sense. So we're not lumped into those low-hanging, those low lives, so to speak. We got to be able to move or elevate what we do, because otherwise, if we get lumped into them, people aren't going to give you deals. You're going to, I'm sure you already experienced this, but people are already suspecting, I guess, that you're trying to take advantage of them when you're talking to them. Some of you guys are telling me, I talked to a lot of you guys on the phone, you're not getting, you're sending out tons and tons of mail, you're not getting any deals. Some of you guys are telling me that you have to overpay for property, or that the field is just too crowded, it's too saturated. So what do you do? Well, that's where I think my plan for 2022 comes in, because I do think that more and more states and bigger cities and bigger metro areas are going to start to enact certain laws that is going to prevent wholesalers or make it very tough. I do believe that this is going to be a thing that's going to keep happening and keep spreading. And then if you do not understand these changes, you are going to be left behind. And again, you may not be a wholesaler, but we do use a lot of the same methods to find these folks that are looking to sell. We use a lot of the same methods to communicate with them. And because of that, there are now do not solicit lists for real estate that you have to abide by. And if you don't abide by them, guess what? You're going to be fined out of the ass. It is what it is. All right. So how do you take this information and run with it? It sounds pretty gloom and doom. It's going to be more and more difficult for more people. But honestly, it's not going to be that bad if you are already acting above board, meaning you already have a certain set of ethics, and you do make things easier for the person you're buying from, or at least you're trying to wholesale from, because a lot of people don't. They make things difficult. So here are the 3 keys to success that I'm going to do in 2022. This is part of my key strategy to help. If everything goes right, I think I can triple my output and my income. If everything goes right. Excuse me. We'll see how that works. But anyways, first, number 1, write this down: consistency. Now, what do I mean by that is you got to be consistent with all of your actions, especially when you're dealing with sellers. So you got to be consistent as you contact people. You got to be consistent with your follow-up. You got to be consistent with your communication. I find this happens a lot, and this is what leads to a lot of distrust with wholesalers and just land investors in general. Their lack of consistency places doubts in the minds of the people they're trying to do business with. Because of that doubt, it starts to ruin deals. It starts to make people upset. When people are upset, they complain. When enough people complain, legislation comes in. So we have to act above board in this case, and actually consistency, communicate, consistency, reach out to people, and consistently actually reach out to people, contact them, and communicate, and following up with them. There you go. So what does that mean for you? Well, number 1, any person that you contact, not only did you got to be consistent, but be consistent with how you actually convey your message. A lot of people, they come in and like, I'm going to give you all this money for your property, knowing damn well that they're not going to do that, and they're hoping to talk them down. And if they don't get it low enough, they bail. Or a lot of wholesalers right now, they tie them up in these 6-month long contracts, hoping they can find a sale from somebody else, but they don't have the salesmanship to do it. Now, what do you think that, sure, for the wholesaler, that's fine, right? Like, hey, it doesn't happen. What do you think that does to the actual seller? Where do you think that places their faith in the seller? How happy are they in this process? Now, especially if people are distressed and they need the money and they need to sell, and you're tying them up so now they can't sell to anybody else, they're going to feel like they've been taken advantage of. That's not being consistent. Being consistent here is actually making sure you're following up and they understand what you have to offer and how you have to offer it. Now, some people, they don't need to actually sell right away, but a lot of times the people that we're finding, they do want to sell. They want to sell quickly. And you tying them up for 6 months because you don't know how to sell anything is making it harder for the rest of us. So consistency, having that consistency with the communication is going to go a long way with that. All right. Now, along with that is integrity, right? The code of ethics. The way I do land investing, I don't actually tell them I'm going to give them something I'm not going to give them. I don't try to have this highest value just so I can talk them down. I say, look, I'm going to pay you between this and this. If that does not work for you, that's okay, but I'm not the person to talk to. Here's the trick. I know a lot of people, I've gotten a few deals this way when someone's like, oh, I got a higher offer from somebody else. I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like a lot more than it's worth. You should take that offer. But I have a feeling they're not going to really offer you that. And when they don't, I'm going to be back in 2 weeks. I'll call you back in 2 weeks. And I promise you what I have to say is going to be legit. I'm not going to change the numbers up. It is what it is. And I think you'll like doing business with me because I'm going to be honest. And lo and behold, it happens every time. Oh, I got to, putting the seller through the ringer just so they can get the money or just so they can protect themselves. I understand. But at the end of the day, you're not making a deal. And because of that, these people do business with me because they feel I'm more honest than they are. And I'm a man of integrity. I do what I say I'm going to do. And I do it in a timeline that's convenient for them. So we all win. That makes sense. Now for me, for 2022, it's going to be upping the ante of how I communicate with people. So how I can stay consistent, right? More texts, more mailers, more voice drops, being consistent with it every day, and then having a follow-up routine. Eventually, I'll have somebody else do this for me, but for now, it's totally cool to have somebody else, for myself to just a little bit every day. And so far I've been implementing this is I haven't been spending more than 30 minutes with this plan. Obviously, it helps to leverage automation and things of that nature, but in general, it makes it real simple. And I have to do this because of all the noise that's happening. Now, you also, if you're trying to get above the noise, you've got to be better at your offers, not just the numbers, but what you're saying to people and how you're letting them know how you're doing business with them. Because of all the legislation that's happening, most likely you're going to have to buy more property more often. You're not going to be able to assign contracts or things like that. And you're going to have to be able to make sure you separate yourself from people who think that you do that. So how you communicate and your postcards and your phone calls and your texts and your voice drops and all that is going to be key. Without that, you're going to fight an uphill battle. You're going to be associated with those low lives out there. That makes it tough for the rest of us. All right. Next, no excuses. We got to get something done every day. It's hard to be consistent when life happens, but we have to figure out a way to make it happen. That's also the same case when you're actually talking to a seller and the deal doesn't look as straightforward as you thought it was going to be. No excuses. You can always figure out a solution. You can always figure out something that's going to help you get that deal done. Now, maybe the deal doesn't happen as quickly as you would like. Maybe you got to borrow money. Maybe you got to do other things, but there's no excuses, because if you really want to make this happen and not associate yourself with the legislation that's coming out, well, guess what? You got to figure out ways, because certain deals will become harder and harder to come by. So you're not going to have the luxury of just walking away from things that are close enough, but not quite perfect. I want to make sure you guys are understanding, because I think this is very important that you guys understand this, because I think a lot of us walk away from certain deals, and it's not because they're bad deals, it's because people don't want to do the research to find out how to make them work. And again, that comes down to like a rookie mentality of not looking to level up, not looking to mastermind, and you're trying to do everything as a lone wolf, and you're wondering why your brain, which is a singular brain who doesn't have much experience, can't figure out a solution, because you haven't actually have the experience and you're not tapping into people who do have the experience. All right. Now, last thing, you got to pay attention to detail. This is also going to be good for your due diligence, of course, but when you're in a certain state that you know there's legislation actually proposed or legislation is actually in place, understanding how you can move around that and not be associated with the bad faith wholesalers and whatnot, it's going to help. But you can't do that carelessly. You have to have that attention to detail, knowing exactly what you are dealing with, what type of person you're dealing with, what type of property it is, how much it should that you owe. If you got to give that person more information about the value of their property, but you also got to understand how to sell. Because just because somebody may know, like, I can get more money for my property, I just don't have the time, I don't have the patience, I don't have the, the energy to do what I can to sell it my own or get a real estate agent. When you understand those details, you can actually help them make a decision to help sell to you and for the price that you want. But if you don't understand what the person is going through, why they're going through it, what type of person they are, the property and all that, it's going to be hard to give them that understanding that what you're trying to do is in their best interest. But in general, to recap, because I think we're about done here, the industry is changing. There's legislation coming out. It will affect wholesalers, and that in effect will affect us as well, because we will be lumped into that same category because we do a lot of things in a similar way as wholesalers do. And to make sure that we don't become part of that, we got to be consistent with our communication, consistent with our efforts, consistent with our follow-up. We also got to make no excuses. We got to get deals done, and we got to make it easy for the person we're doing business with. And the third thing is we got to make sure we pay attention to detail, because if you don't, that's how you get lumped into that. And that's how you get in trouble. That's how you lose deals. All right. Now, obviously in 2022, I'm going to be doing this. If you guys want to hear more details about actually how I'm going to implement some of these things, let me know. This is going on long enough, and I don't want to give you guys ideas for what I do and could that work specifically for me. There are certain things that are fundamental that we all should do as land investors. But if you are looking at me to actually do exactly what I do, yeah, and let me know. I can see what I can share that would be a little bit more generalized to more people, because I'm a very unique individual. I write my own software, so there's a lot of things I can do that many people would not be able to or even want to do, but I can give you guys more insights into that. So other than that, that's it. Let's make sure 2022 is better than 2021, because the competition is going to get more and more fierce. The market's getting more and more flooded. Sellers are kind of tired of all the constant this noise out there. Being able to stand above the noise with the consistency, the no excuses, and attention to detail is going to be the key to actually staying in this industry. If you can't do that, you will fail. You will be legislated out of existence, or your offer will be at the bottom of the pile while mine is getting accepted. All right. That's all I got. Hopefully that was beneficial for you. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your 2021, and I will see you guys in 2022. Peace out.